All right, the preterists and the 42 months. The 42 months of Scripture. What are we talking about here? Let's go to Daniel 7 and then Revelation 11 through 13. We're going to see how many times this 42 months is actually mentioned. There's one time in Daniel chapter 12. We're not going to go to Daniel chapter 12, but just Daniel chapter 7, talking about the little horn. This little horn is the Antichrist. In this horn was a mouth speaking great things, that is, great false doctrines. And we're going to go all the way up, the truth about the fourth beast, and this other horn. This is the Antichrist, a mouth that spoke great things again, made war with the saints and prevailed over them until the Ancient of Days came. Now, here's where we're going to see this. He shall speak words against the Most High. Again, words, words, words. The words that the horn was speaking, the words, the doctrine, the dogma that the Antichrist was speaking. Shall wear out the saints of the Most High, think to change the times and the law. That's interesting. They shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. So that is 1,260 days or 42 months. A time, times, half a time. Okay? Now, when we get to Revelation chapter 11, verses 2 and 3, the court leave that out, for it is given over to the nations. They will trample the holy city 42 months, and the two witnesses will prophesy for 1,260 days. Same time period as the time, half a time. In Daniel 7:25. This is Revelation 11, verses 2 and 3. So twice it's mentioned here in Revelation chapter 11. It is mentioned twice in Revelation chapter 12, once here in verse 6. The woman in the wilderness is to be nourished for 1,260 days. Revelation 12, verse 6. Once down here in Revelation 12, verse 14, again reiterating the woman to be nourished for a time, times, and half a time. 1,260 days, 42 months, and then, of course, the sea beast, which is the same entity as the little horn of Daniel chapter 7. And the dragon, that is Satan, gave his power and his throne and great authority to the sea beast and allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. And again here, also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them, just like in Daniel chapter 7, made war against the saints and prevailed over them for that 42 months. So let's listen to what the preterists say is that 42 months. They say it was a literal 3.5 years, a literal 1,260 days, a literal 42 months, and took place in the distant past.
What Gentry's going to do next, he's going to bring us into another description of the beast and his persecution of the Christians. He makes war with the saints 42 months. Here he is.
You're probably aware that Nero was the first imperial persecutor of the Christian church. In fact, the imperial persecution broke out in November of AD 64 and did not cease in finality, although it waned a lot. It did not cease in finality until June of AD 68, which is a period of right at 42 months from November.
So notice what the preterists are doing. They're taking that 42 months literally, but they're putting it in the distant past. This already happened. We don't need to worry about this anymore. So this is what I wrote in response here. Made war with the saints 42 months. Preterists take the 42 months as a literal 3.5 years just in the distant past. Futurists do the same thing. They take those 42 months as a literal 3.5 years and chuck it way out into the future. Historicists of the Reformation view this time prophecy as symbolic. Again, from the book of Revelation, the most highly symbolic book in all the Bible, and utilize the day equals year principle of prophetic interpretation for this prophecy, which is given 7 times. That is 7 times in Scripture. Twice in the book of Daniel, 5 times in the book of Revelation. We saw all 5 times in the book of Revelation. Revelation 11 twice, Revelation 12 twice, and Revelation 13, 1 through 10 once. Jonathan Edwards on the 42 months. It is certain that the 1,260 days or years, which are so often in Scripture mentioned as the time of the continuance of Antichrist, reign did not commence before the year of Christ 479. That is, before the fall of the Roman Empire. The restrainer of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, restraining the man of sin, son of perdition, from coming on the scene, rising to power, was the Roman Empire. This 1260 years could not commence before the restrainer, the Roman Empire, was taken out of the way in the 5th century AD. 1260 years would begin sometime after that. Dr. John Gill on the 42 months, reckoning a day for a year. Notice a day equals year principle. Day equals year principle. After the prophetic style, it's the style of Bible prophecy to utilize a day for a year. Makes 1260 literal years, which is the exact time of the witnesses prophesying in sackcloth in Revelation 11, of the churches being hid and nourished in the wilderness, Revelation chapter 12, and of the sea beasts' reign, Revelation 13, 1 through 10, and so of the holy city being trodden underfoot. 1260 years. Apparently, these preterists are just so smart that they feel they can just ignore the Reformation and post-Reformation on this issue because, I guess, of Kenneth L. Gentry's silly theories. Wise up, you guys. The end is extremely nigh. So that's what the preterists are doing. They're making the exact opposite error of the Futurists. These time prophecies right here, 42 months of the beast, a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words, making war against the saints and conquering them, is all 1260 literal years. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. But this preterism stuff has infected otherwise reformed Calvinistic churches. And that is very sad to witness. So let me know what you think. Soli Deo Gloria.